Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm showing you everything has been added, changed and fixed in Minecraft Snapshot 25w31a. And it's the first snapshot for Minecraft Java Edition in a very long time, so I decided to make a new snapshot video for a change. So this snapshot adds a huge bunch of things, including the copper chest, the copper golem statue, the copper equipment and tools, and of course also the shelf block. So lots to talk about, but also there are some changes to, for example, the F3 screen, as you can see here, with even a completely new menu right here. So lots to talk about. But if you enjoy Minecraft videos like this one, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft update and tutorial videos in the future. And so let's actually start with the copper golem. It was already added to Minecraft Bedrock Edition a few weeks ago, but now we also have it here on Minecraft Java Edition. And so to create a copper golem, all you need is a block of copper and a carved pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern. So you just place down a block of copper and then place down a carved pumpkin on top. And you get both a copper chest and a copper golem. Just like this, you get the combination of these two. And so this also works, for example, with exposed copper. Then you get the exposed copper chest and copper golem, and the same thing with weathered. And of course also the same with oxidized copper, as you can see right there. You get all four variants of the copper golem and the copper chest. And so both the copper chest and the copper golem will oxidize over time. And so they will turn into this green variant here. And so if the copper golem has fully oxidized and is not waxed, it will turn into a copper golem statue block. We will get into that statue block later. So what is the use of the copper golem? But it can actually sort items. So each of these can look through copper chests, pick out items and bring them over to regular chests. So if the copper golem is not holding an item, it will look for nearby copper chests and try to pick out an item from those copper chests. As you can see, they will all look into the different types of copper chests. And the copper golem can pick up stacks of 16 items at a time. So if you place down some chests in this chest, which is a copper chest, we should see that once one of the copper golems starts interacting with this chest, it will take out 16 of the items. So here we go, we see that it goes from 64 down to 48, because this guy over here took out some chests from the copper chest. And we can see that this one did the same thing as well. And there's also a nice animation you can see here that plays when a copper golem takes out items from a copper chest. Now as you can see, these don't have a chest to place these in, so they're just standing around idly. But if you place down a regular chest, like this, then they will check if the chest is empty. And so then you can see that the copper golem has placed the chests here in this chest, and the rest will do the same thing as well. And of course we could do the same thing with all of these different items. And so we can see that the chest now contains those 64 chests, but the copper blocks are not being added because the chest is now filled and there are no copper blocks in the chest. That will only happen if we actually place one of the copper blocks in there. So let's say we place just a normal block of copper in here. Now we should see that over time, as the right copper golem enters the chest, it will place down those blocks of copper, but not all the other types. You can see that now it just fills up this block of copper stack, and all the other copper golems are not placing their items in this chest. So the copper golem will look in chests and trap chests to try to place items. It can place an item in a chest if it's empty. So that was the first time it was empty, so that's why it could place its chests in there. Or if it contains the same type of item that it's holding in its hand. That's why we're just seeing the chest and the blocks of copper in here. And the copper golem will visit at most 10 chests or copper chests in sequence to try to pick up or place an item. And if it doesn't find anything in those 10 chests, it will take a 7-second idle position before it will try again. And the search area for the copper golem is 32 blocks horizontally and 8 blocks vertically. And so we have an empty hand and we interact with one of these copper golems, it will drop their items, as you can see there. Then as for the copper chests that we see here, they were also spawned in together with the copper golem. You can also craft them by combining 8 copper ingots with a chest, just like this, that crafts a copper chest. And so yes, you can wax the copper golems, as you can see here. That means they will not oxidize further than their current state. And you can do the same thing with chests if you hold shift, just like this. And you can strip the oxidation again by using an axe to wax off. And you can do the same thing with the copper golems as well. Then let's go back to the copper golem statue. So as I said, if the copper golem fully oxidizes, it will turn into a copper golem statue, which looks like this. Of course, if you use an axe on it, you can remove the layers of oxidation again from it, and then it can oxidize back to the green layer as well. And once a copper golem turns into a copper golem statue, it will of course drop the items it's holding. And if the copper golem had a name tag, it will keep the name tag even as a statue. You can also wax these statues, of course, if you would want. And you can change the pose of these as well. There's currently 4 different poses. So there's the standing pose, there's the sitting pose, there's the walking pose, and there's the jumping pose. So those are the 4 poses that a copper golem statue can have currently. And interestingly, if you use an axe on a copper golem statue that is fully unoxidized, you'll see that it will once again turn into a copper golem. So the statue can be turned into a copper golem again. And so each of the poses of the copper golem also gives off a different redstone signal strength when put next to a comparator. There's now also a change to the lightning rod. It can now oxidize as well, just like all of the other copper blocks. And now there's 4 variants of the lightning rod. Then of course there's also new tools and armor, all made of copper as well. You can see all of them right here. So we have copper helmet, chest plate, leggings and boots. And of course also a shovel, pickaxe, axe, hoe and sword. And even a copper horse armor. And so the armor has a higher durability than leather and gold. But it has less enchantability than iron. So it's somewhere between gold and iron in ranking. And so the copper tools have about the same amount of damage as stone tools, but have higher durability. And they also are slightly faster than stone tools. What's interesting is that copper tools have higher enchantability than diamond, but less than iron. There's also a new item in the copper nugget, which works the exact same as the iron and gold nuggets, in that 9 nuggets form an ingot. And you can smelt the copper equipment down into copper nuggets. And the copper horse armor has the same loot level and chance of generating as iron horse armor, with armor toughness 4. Now that's not even it for this snapshot, because there's another new block, and that is the shelf block, which is basically an item frame on steroids, because it can show 3 stacks of items. Yes, I said stacks. So there is 12 different shelf blocks, 1 for each wood type in the game. And you can craft them just like this, with 6 stripped log, stripped stem or stripped bamboo blocks. And this gives you 6 shelves. So you can place the shelf just like this, and you can also place them next to each other. And you can interact with the 3 slots here. So you can click here, here, and here. And you can pick them back up as well, of course. And so you can either put 1 non-stackable item in there, or you can even put a full stack of items there in one of the slots, as you can see right there. You can also power shelves with redstone, which you can see right here. It removes those lines in the middle. And this actually has some uses, because if the shelf is powered and you interact with it while it's empty, it actually puts the 3 items you have in the 3 rightmost slots of your hotbar into that shelf, as you can see right here. So you can put 3 items there at the same time, and it actually switches them out. So if you place 3 other items there, you can see that it now switches those between my hotbar and the shelf. And so if you connect both of these, just like this, so now both of them are powered. What happens now is it actually switches all of the 6 items there. And you might expect this, but if we power this 3rd shelf and then we fill our hotbar with a few more items, then you will see that it switches our total hotbar with the shelves in just 1 click. And it doesn't matter which of the shelves you click, it always just switches the hotbar, as you can see right here. So that's a very cool feature there. Then there are some accessibility additions as well. For example, if we now go to options and then controls, there's a few more things here. So there's now attack destroy. It can either be hold or it can be toggle. This is set to toggle. Then as you can see, I'm continuously destroying and I'm not clicking at all. If I click again, then it stops destroying. So this means you don't have to hold your mouse button. It will just toggle just like this. And the same thing is here for use item / place block. So now if you hold a block, I'm not doing anything else, and I right click, you will see that it continuously places blocks wherever I'm looking until I click again. These are on hold by default, which was already the previous default. Then in mouse settings, there's now also invert mouse X along with invert mouse Y. So that means that it just inverts the direction the mouse moves when you move it left and right. There's now also this sprint window, which represents the time window it ticks where double tapping the forward key activates sprint. So yeah, if you don't know, you can actually double tap the W key, which also makes you sprint, and you can change the window in which that happens. Next, when you're in peaceful mode and you go over to the spawn eggs in the creative inventory, there is now a warning for some of these spawn eggs that says disabled in peaceful. And so if you try to summon in a drowned, it will not spawn in, as you can see here, just there for 1 tick. Then there's also some changes to world loading and the spawn chunks, which actually does sound pretty interesting. So the game will ensure that the following chunks are fully loaded before the player joins or the server starts. These are the chunks loaded by the force load command, chunks active due to portal activity, ender pearls in single player, the area of chunks around the player in single player, and also chunks required to assign the global world spawn. And along with this change to world loading, there is now also a new progress bar if you go into a world that you can see right there. It's very short, but there is now a progress bar along with the little square showing the chunks loading. Then happy ghosts are now audible from 64 blocks, and sound for chests play at a lower volume. And then as I mentioned at the start of the video, there are some changes to the F3 screen, which is this one right here. It has been made less cluttered, and it can now be accessed anywhere in the game. As you can still see it here on top of this screen, and also in the main menu you can see the F3 screen now, if you ever wanted to do that for some reason. There's less information by default, but there's now this F3 plus F5 menu, this one right over here, where you can actually change what type of information you want to see either in the F3 screen or always. You can even search for options here. So for example, if you look for biome, you will see that option. If you look for FPS, you can see that that is right there, for example, already in the F3 screen. But if you want to, for example, always see the FPS, you can also click here on always, and you will see that it's now always there, even if you don't have F3 on. You can also select the different profiles. So the default profile is just what it is by default. The performance profile is this one, and it just shows mainly the performance stats. And otherwise, you can just customize it for yourself. And so indeed, for each item, you can choose it to be off, visible when the debug screen is open, or always be visible. There's also a few new additions here. For example, you can now also see chunk section octree, which is this right here, which looks quite crazy, to be honest. In accessibility settings, there is now also an option to go to the controls. And auto jump, sneak, and sprint toggles have been removed here and placed here, of course, in the controls. Then there's also new textures for all of the dice in the game. So now they are all unique, and that works better for colorblind people, of course. There are also some performance improvements for entity rendering order. You'll notice much smoother gameplay in areas with lots of mobs, like mob farms, hopefully. And then there's also a lot of changes to data packs and resource packs with new pack formats as well, along with a whole bunch of bug fixes. If you want to read through all of those, I'll leave the patch notes in the description of this video. But anyway, there we go. That's pretty much it. That's all that was added in Minecraft Snapshot 25w31a. Mainly the copper golem, copper chest, shelves, and also the new debug screen with F3. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please subscribe!